Wakey, wakey! Come on, you lot. The big hands on the 12, the little ones on the 6.
This type of trip is basically a camping trip, and it is rough camping. There are certain things one learns never to do when camping in the wild, and that is, for instance, not to camp in, say, a wadi. Even though it looks as if it hasn't rained for 2 centuries, a flash flood can take the whole lot away.
Oh, well, thank you. Can I have one for soup, please? Oh, man. Any problems?
Ah, this is a good run. It's a blow.
It's very important that the passengers should feel that they are responsible for the destiny of that trip and also for its day-to-day running. Groups of 3 usually will do the cooking on a specific day. They will also do the shopping in the local bazaars.
7 rupees 1 kilo.
7 rupees?
Yes. 1 kilo.
How much are they? 7 rupees a kilo?
I think they're okay actually.
Yeah.
You pick out
They
a
look
few
a bit
little
green.
okay.
That's right. We got 8 in there. That was the first 1.5 kilo.
Around about 30.
It's hard telling whether they're ripe or not, but I think they're all soft inside.
Yeah.
You know, they're good inside. They're just. It's 24 we got in there, right?
That's all they do.
I'm a bit suspicious of this scale method he uses, you know.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how he sort of holds it up in his hand. That'd be the lot then.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Good for doing.
I love doing these, right?
Start with 5 and if it's not enough, then use the other one.
Yeah, it should be enough. I'm getting an average of about 12 slices.
See, the tomatoes have gone back to their normal shape after being more like plums before.
The quality of the food on these trips can vary enormously. I've had cordon bleu cooks on trips who've produced the most revolting meals. On the other hand, I've had people who've never cooked in their lives consistently producing very palatable meals.
Spend my money.
We require someone to administer the cash with which we make all our food purchases, and I usually try to find someone who has an accountancy background to do it.
So the total amount spent in that country was 11,396.
I don't like to consider myself as a type of courier, a guide, and I don't think I'd really like my passengers to consider me that either. Certainly it gives me a lot of pleasure to introduce people to new pleasures, new cultures and so on.
First stop in Iran will be Isfahan, where we'll spend 2.5 days. There's a hell of a lot to see there, and you'll have to ration yourselves.
Isfahan is a very beautiful city. It's dominated by the mosaic domes of the really quite old mosques and theological colleges there. In the bazaars in Isfahan, you will often find a Persian housewife doing her shopping in really the same way that an English housewife might go into a supermarket. There's an enormous range of handicrafts in Isfahan. The interesting thing about all these handicrafts is that these are crafts primarily created for the Persian. Take the example of brassware. The amount of work which goes into beating it out is terrific. Yet you will find in virtually any Persian household that these brassware pots are being used.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome to Isfahan. These are all original paintings. These are by imagination, and we use the very nice matter from our literature, from Omar Khayyam. Omar Khayyam was a famous popular poet, and he has very nice stories about peaceful life. You know, these are all by imagination. We have no model. We read the literature, the story of Omar Khayyam, and we make the figures like this, the sketch, and then color. And the faces that we paint in our painting is not flat. It's just by detail,
Yeah.
the shadow, the color in the face. Magnificent faces, just one by one, the color in the face. And the brush that we use is cat hair brush. It's very, very fine brush, just one hair on the top of my brush. So when I finish one painting, it takes 1 month, or some of them is more than 1 month, is 1 year. For instance, that seven adventure of Rostam, that takes 1 year to paint.
These representations of the various tributaries that brought annual tribute to the Persian emperor, each figure represents a sort of different nationality. There would have been Babylonians and Scythians, Armenians, and so on. And you can see they're all carrying something. At least those ones there are. I think the ones there with the lances are members of the guard escorting them in to see the emperor.
This is in fact one of his spring palaces, was it?
Yeah, Darius stayed here in the spring, and then in the winter he'd travel up to his other palace at Akbatana, which is modern Hamdan. And it's fantastic when you think of the distances that they covered every year just to visit their palaces. There's something like 1,600 miles at 1 mile an hour.
It sometimes happens that a passenger turns out to know more about a particular place than I do. It sometimes happens that I make a mistake in a description, and I'm pulled up on it pretty sharpish. I'm delighted when this happens because I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm learning as much as they are.
Right, we'll have a look at the oil baths.
Yeah.
Probably change the oil now. When we go into the desert, we'll have to check the oil regularly every day, and possibly.
When I started in this game,